What's up, folks? It's your man E here, Church of Dog, and I was just watching a video by Sadguru talking about how he doesn't think people should smoke weed, and I mean, I'm not going to go into the details. His reasoning that he claims you can produce cannabinoids without cannabis. Like he takes cannabis science, um, and he basically flips it on its head. Like nobody ever said you could produce cannabinoids in your own brain without cannabis. What scientists said is we have a cannabinoid system and a receptor system that's designed to receive cannabis and spread it throughout our body. But he's saying you can make cannabis in your own brain. You could get high through meditation and you don't need drugs. If it's so easy to get high through meditation, why would anybody spend their hard earned money on drugs? So, honestly, the problem with Sadhguru is the problem with most gurus is that they're salesmen. They're not really freeing you from things. They're causing you to be more attached to other things, as in themselves, and their belief systems, and their systems of meditation or practice or whatever. The reality is this: nobody really knows everything. There may be people that have a very deep wisdom. There may be people that have a very deep understanding, but nobody knows everything. So anybody presenting themselves in this kind of like, oh, yes, I'm so wise. I actually know the answer to any question you could ever ask me is, well, they're lying. Nobody has the answers for every question you could ever ask them because the questions change all the time. You know, it's like somebody went to the Buddha for many years and they asked him the same question. And every time they saw him, he gave them a different answer. And so they asked the Buddha, after many years, they came and he gave a different answer. And they said, Buddha, you obviously don't know the answer to the question because you keep giving me a different answer. Every time I ask this question, sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no, sometimes you say maybe, sometimes you don't say anything at all. You're just quiet. And the Buddha said, well, that's because you've changed every time you've come here. And your question was different every time you came here because you were different every time you came here. And so I gave you a different answer every time you came here because I didn't want you to get attached to the answer. I didn't want you to get stuck. I wanted you to realize that things change. I wanted you to be free from attachment to views. One of the Buddha's Eightfold Path teachings was no attachment to views. And whether you're attached to good or bad views, you're still attached to views, to thoughts. In English, in some language, they're words. That's all they are. And you are attached to these words. When I say God, does that mean God? Maybe to somebody it does, but there's probably people who molest little kids and pray to God before they do it. There's probably people who suicide bomb and pray to God before they do it. Is that God that they're praying to? So, it's really frustrating, but also it just motivates me to realize I got to get out there. I got to keep putting this information out there because the information is not available really. The information that the answer to the question's not really what you want. You want to stop having questions. Having a whole nother system of answers to questions is just going to alienate you and isolate you from the rest of the world. And that's the thing with Sadhguru too. He talks so much about you this and you this and you this and you this. People don't realize, dude, we had this discussion 1,500 years ago when the Buddha left India. The reason the Buddha left India is because of people like Sadhguru. Buddha was very critical of these yogis who criticized society, criticized smoking weed, criticized everybody else. They didn't work. They didn't spend their time helping people out who were sick. No, they spend all their time getting money and resources from people by claiming to have the answers. The Buddha wandered around with a begging bowl, poverty stricken. He didn't sit in some special house that they made for him. He didn't get carried around in a special car. No, he didn't. He was poor his whole life. He had very few possessions when he died. That's a fact. He didn't build up some crazy empire. There's no Buddhist temple you can go to that the original Buddha started. It didn't happen. So, I'm sorry for people who like Sadhguru to hear this, and it's fine. I don't think it's bad. I think Sadhguru, this is my own personal opinion, I think a lot of these teachings, these teachers that have these very limited views that they claim to be are extremely expansive and open-minded and all-encompassing and can bring you to the highest, deepest form of enlightenment. That's the only way anybody's going to get started on the path of personal growth and development and deepest realization. Okay, if I told you there is no thoughts, there is no truth, there is no words I can tell you that will bring you to a better or deeper understanding of life, or if in fact I told you that there is no really, there is nothing to attain. Because the more you try to attain things, the more you focus on yourself, which is the ego, which is separate from the rest of the world. So the more you have attachment to attaining this understanding, it's like when a person says, oh, I'm enlightened. Well, I would say, if you just said I, you're not enlightened. Because enlightenment is the realization that there is no self, that the self that we associate with is beyond this small, limited self that we experience. There is no self, anatta, no self. That's what the Buddha said. So all of this practices about, let me help yourself and help you reach this level of awareness and help you become a yogi is all just bolstering the ego. And the reality is, unless people were told there is something to attain, many people may never start on the spiritual path. We think about Christianity, for example. Many people only do the right thing because they want to get to heaven. And yes, some people, if they didn't have a belief in heaven, maybe they wouldn't pray, maybe they wouldn't go to church, maybe they wouldn't try to take care of their neighbor or be a better person. But we have this understanding of, I'll go to heaven if I do the right thing. Then, okay, I got to do the right thing. I got to go to heaven. And, the deeper you get into things, you may come to the understanding that everyone gets into heaven. There is no way to not go to heaven when you die, because heaven is you returning to the place that you were before you were here. Everybody who's here came from the same place. It's not a place, but everyone came from, we could call it nothing, we could call it the Great Spirit, we could call it the ether. You're just returning to the place that you were before. So many times people wonder, well, what about when I die? Do I go to heaven? Do I go to hell? What happens? Well, I would say, well, what about before you were here? Let's try to figure out where you were before you were here first. Then we can worry about where you'll go when you die. So, for people who are into Sadhguru, great, that's awesome. But I'm just putting this message out there for some people that are not finding the answers in people like Sadhguru, in these personal growth and development people, and all these people spewing all of these words. And yes, I am speaking in words. This is true. But the difference is I'm telling you, do not get attached to any views. Don't get attached to anything I say. These are just my words based on my experience. Don't let anybody tell you what you need to do to reach your highest potential. Don't let anybody tell you what the right way is to meditate, or the right way is to stretch, or the right way is to live your life. That's up to you. Nobody knows what's right for everybody in the entire fucking world. And that's why it kind of pisses me off, because people are coming up here saying, oh, you don't need to smoke cannabis, you just need to meditate. It's like, fucker, I know a guy with a horrible skin condition, and he smokes cannabis so he could stay alive. so he doesn't feel like shit all the time. There's a lot of really sick people smoking cannabis because it actually helps them out. You know, Sadhguru's on this video saying, oh, cannabis is going to make you do cocaine one day. It's like, dude, get with the fucking program, Sadhguru. It's 2019. Like, and the craziest part is he's from India. India is historically one of the places where people have been smoking cannabis more than ever, and one of the places that actually appreciates and reveres the religious, spiritual people who smoke cannabis all the time. They're called sadhus. So, you know, but it sells. You tell people, oh, I don't like cannabis. Oh, I do this meditation. You're going to feel blissful. Do this meditation. You're just going to feel perfect. You know, do this meditation. You're going to be an asshole. Possibly. Because you're going to think you're better than everybody else. Do this meditation, and you're going to feel alienated from the people who can't do the meditation. Do this meditation, and you'll have to keep doing this meditation forever. Meditation, it's not something to sell to people. It's like, if you want to meditate, like, go meditate. Get a book on meditation. It's not a fucking secret. But, you know, Sadhguru's claiming he's got some secret meditation technique. Oh, and let me guess, I got to sign up for something if I want this secret meditation technique, huh? Because you can't just give that out for free. Why aren't all of his videos just teaching the damn secret meditation technique? Instead, it's him talking about things and how much he understands and how much he knows and how wise he is and how basically how dumb other people are. Which is fine. I mean, I'm basically saying the same thing, but I'm not sitting here wearing a freaking... I don't have my hair all done up and a beard and a fancy necklace and a robe. So, Sadhguru is a salesman. You know, and that's fine. You know, if you want more attachments and you want more ideas to be stuck on and you think that's going to carry you through when the time comes for you to die, then awesome. You know, if it's part of your spiritual journey, part of your spiritual path, great. You gain some truths from him, awesome. But I'm just saying, really, don't stop there. Don't cling to any one guru, any one teacher, any one system of thought, system of teaching. I'm not going to tell you you're going to gain anything from it. If anything, you're going to lose things from doing that. You're going to lose your certainty. You're going to lose some of these blissful feelings. But you're going to gain a depth of compassion. And that's, at the end of the day, that's the real issue with Sadhguru, is he doesn't seem compassionate. He doesn't. Like, just from an objective perspective, he does not seem compassionate. He seems like a jerk. You see the way he has these videos that are all him arguing with people and basically trying to make people look like idiots. You'd think he'd have a video of him like teaching a child his meditation technique, teaching somebody something, you know, but no, he has these videos because it gains views, because people like seeing conflict. They like seeing people make an idiot out of somebody else. And so Sadhguru's made money having videos of him making people look like idiots. Which is fine. There's nothing actually wrong with that. It's just, let's just clarify that that's what you're doing and stop presenting yourself as some Christ-like guru that is on some other plane of existence, that has no suffering, that doesn't poop anymore. You know, like when you look up there and you see a guru and they're acting like they don't poop, they poop, okay? They poop. But you look at him, you would think, this guy doesn't poop. The way he carries himself, the way how perfect he looks, he doesn't poop. When you see a real guru, you should think to yourself immediately, this person poops. All the gurus that I've met, the deepest gurus who've actually taught me the most and haven't charged me any money and haven't sold me anything, sometimes they were homeless people that I picked up off the side of the road and let live at my house and had to call the fucking police on eventually. Those are my gurus. What's my guru? A dog that I own that wants to fucking bite me all the time. That's one of my gurus. Who's my guru? Is my mom. That's really difficult to get along with. It's like the whole world is essentially a guru teaching you what to do or what not to do. And I think Sadhguru, for me, is an example of what not to do. As a spiritual teacher, as a spiritual leader, that's what not to do. Be a Mother Teresa. Be Thich Nhat Hanh, who started an amazing nonprofit, who spent his whole life working in political activism, who was exiled from his own country for being politically active during the Vietnam War, doesn't argue with people. He's like almost 100 years old now. Go watch a video on Thich Nhat Hanh. Go watch a video on Osho. You know, people love to criticize Osho, but it's like, criticize Osho. A lot of those things that happened at the commune, Osho didn't even do. He wasn't in charge of his commune. He just was there being himself, and shit went crazy. And he's also never claimed to be perfect. You know, a lot of people criticize Osho. Osho never claimed to be perfect. Osho never claimed to be against drugs or against sex or against all these things. He was against being against things. So, you know, if you like my videos, awesome, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If you hate them, let me know. Give me a comment, give me a thumbs down. But I'm going to keep making videos because I'm not finding it out there. You know, I'm looking and I just am not finding it. I'm finding a lot of bullshit out there on YouTube and social media that it's not really helping me out personally. Maybe that's because I've already gotten a degree in religious studies, that I spent 4 years studying all this stuff. So that's just that, folks. Remember, do not seek the truth. Only cease to cherish your opinions and the opinions of others. Free your mind from all opinions. Free your mind from all attachment to views. And the only thing that will be left is the truth and the falsity. The only thing that will be there is something that is beyond limited views. Well, that's just that, folks. I made my little video.